Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another briefing. This is Anthony with Puget Sound Stormwatch on Facebook and YouTube. Right now, to start things off, we're going to look at the visible satellite imagery that's showing a rather strong marine layer holding on for a lot of the Puget Sound area. It's a little bit of clearing here in the Kitsap Peninsula and from SeaTac to Everett in some areas of the southwest interior, but a lot of areas still hanging on to that thick, low-level stratus and marine fog. In terms of air quality around the area, we're doing really good around the Sound. In exception of a few areas farther inland, it's a little bit moderate down here in parts of the South Sound, and pretty bad when you're right around the areas of the fires. However, otherwise, we're doing really great around the water. Victoria, BC is a little in the moderate area. Areas around the Perry Fire near Ross Lake, not doing so hot. Eastern Washington still not doing great. As the backside of this upper-level trough swings through Oregon, some of the wildfire smoke aloft will wrap back around it and push back out of the east into western Washington. But the good news is a lot of this smoke should stay aloft and should not mix down to the surface. But the HER 3 cam wants to keep some of this eastern Washington fire smoke over us over the next 48 hours. This can be seen best here on the near-surface smoke density map. How it has most of the surface-level smoke staying to the east of the foothill locations, while most of the Puget Sound stays completely clear. Unfortunately, we've been watching some rather erratic fire behavior over the last 24 hours since the last briefing. The Perry Fire up north here by Ross Lake has increased 257 acres in the last 24 hours and is now up to 1,557 acres and growing. There's a fire on the west-southwest side of Glacier Peak to the southeast of Darrington called the Red Mountain Fire that is at 58 acres with 0% containment. Two of the largest fires on the east side, the Lower Sugarloaf and Labor Mountain Fire, exhibited substantial fire growth in the last 24 hours. 641 acres for the Lower Sugarloaf, still 0% containment and is well over 13,000 acres. And Labor Mountain grew 145 acres in the last 24 hours, still 0% containment and is well over 3,200 acres and growing rapidly. The Wildcat Fire near Chinook Pass still remains at 8% containment and has increased to almost 8,000 acres. So it grew 135 acres in the last 24 hours and is quickly making a run at that 8,000 acre mark. There's also a multitude of very small fires that don't quite have a registry yet on the map, but these ones did start with the lightning event a few nights ago. For example, we have the Twin Fire up here to the east of 410, east of Greenwater. We got a few in the national park boundaries, including the Huckleberry Creek Fire, Wright Creek Fire, Devil's Dream Fire, and the Wonderland Fire, all of which don't have any size or containment information on them quite yet. The Bear Gulch Fire on Lake Cushman is at 10,629 acres, making a close approach to 11,000 acres. It grew 354 acres in the last 24 hours and remains at 9% containment. If we go a little bit north here to the Tunnel Creek Fire to the west-southwest of the town of Quilcene along Highway 101, 0% containment, now at 125 acres, and has grew 25 acres in the last 24 hours. So now the big question is, what's next in the Washington weather world? Well, the upper-level trough responsible for storms over the last few days will eventually begin to move south of the area and weaken, and a chance of some ridging trying to fill back in. However, confidence is low on this. And then right after that, we have this next upper-level trough swing through, and some models are showing it weakening right away. However, some are showing it swinging back up north into BC. These models are picking up on a surface low developing from this upper low pressure area. And there's still some disagreement on the track, the timing, and the intensity of this surface low. But the 06Z, so 11 p.m. last night, European run, wants to bring a 1,005 millibar surface low close to the northern Oregon, southern Washington coast and have it quickly evaporate into the wilderness, which would spare a lot of areas from significant winds if this were to come to fruition. The 12Z GFS is fresh off the press within the last hour or so, and it wants to bring a 1006 millibar surface level trough off the central Washington coast, have it sort of evaporate, hang into place, and then disappear back out into sea, albeit a little bit later on in the day on Sunday. The ensemble runs, on the other hand, have this being more of a non-factor, pulling the area of strongest low pressure up into northern Vancouver Island and having it only register in the 1012 to 1008 millibar range at its deepest point, which once again would spare a lot of the area from any sort of significant wind. These would be the max accumulated wind gusts at each airport station around Western Washington, according to the European model. See, it shows no more than 20 miles per hour for Boeing Field, 19 miles per hour for SeaTac, 25 and 26 in Lewis County. A little bit stronger the farther south you go, and maybe a little bit stronger out here on the Strait of Juan de Fuca, but still not seeing anywhere any more than 25 to 30 miles per hour around the Sound during this time period. When it comes to rainfall around the area, we'll be watching the progression of a potential frontal system moving through Western Washington sometime between Sunday morning and Monday morning, which will likely bring a lot of beneficial precipitation to some areas, but it will be spotty. Probably no more than a quarter inch in a lot of areas and lesser in some areas where rain shadowing could pick up. Surface temperatures should also continue to be in the pleasant range during this time. Over the next week or so, according to the national blend of models, doesn't have a lot of areas breaking out of the 70s. Albeit the farther southwest of Seattle and Tacoma you go, you do have a chance of possibly breaking 80 as we go into next Friday, but the chance of this is still pretty low at the moment. For those tired of the dense humidity down near the surface, it doesn't look like we have very much relief over the next few days. The max relative humidity is upwards of 100% for some areas, especially during the nighttime. Overall, for the next 2.5 days, the radar should remain rather clear. We'll be hanging on to a lot of that marine layer, though, in the morning time and some of the early afternoon time, depending on where you are over the next few days. So now all eyes turn to this weekend to see if we have any wind around the Sound and to watch the progression of this frontal system, in which the deterministics and ensembles are picking up some beneficial rainfall around most of Washington State and a lot of the Pacific Northwest. And it's also time to play my favorite game during this time of the year called Where Will the Low Go? This map here shows potential low pressure strength and locations based on 50 ensemble members for the European. And as shown here, there's still quite a disparity on location and strength of the incoming low pressure system. This should begin to wrap up today's briefing, but before we go, I do have a couple announcements I'd like to make. So I have released and launched the Puget Sound Stormwatch Patreon and Blue Sky pages. So this is what the front of the Puget Sound Stormwatch Patreon page looks like. I do have an intro forecaster tier launched for only $1.99 per month for exclusive subscriber posts. However, if you're subscribed to me on Facebook, you do not need to do this because I will be posting very similar content to Patreon. It's more like my Facebook posts and subscriber posts for people without Facebook. This is the Puget Sound Stormwatch Blue Sky social page. This is at psswanthony.bluesky.social. Thank you to all 9 followers that have followed me in the first 18 hours or so. Much appreciated. And here's a look at some of the posts I'll be making here. More of a informal style of posting compared to what you see on Facebook. Also, for the Puget Sound Stormwatch official store, you can save 15% now on orders of $65+ for the next 5 days. So if you feel like you want to pick up a sweater for the upcoming cooler weather, go ahead and consider picking up a sweatshirt from the Stormwatch store. Last but not least, if you feel like making a one-time donation to help support Puget Sound Stormwatch, I also have the coffee page set up for one-time donations. This is ko-fi.com/Puget Sound Stormwatch. All links will be shown in the description for all services here, as well as all the sites I use to make my forecasts. Thank you guys again so much for tuning in, supporting, and subscribing. Without all of you guys, I would not be able to do this the way I am now. So thank you guys again, and I will see you guys for the next briefing. Have a good one, everybody.